of other people popping into the room. But welcome. My name is Bill Brown. I'm the Vice President for Enrollment Management at Hood College, and it's terrific to have you here today for our Discover Hood Day. We've got a lot of really cool things. We have a number of these Discover Hood Days. This one is going to feature student engagement and how students engage both with faculty and in the classroom, and then outside the classroom in what you might call student life. So a lot of things that are going to go on that you'll hear about. A couple of things that I want to ask you to do right now, and if you don't mind, we don't care if you you can turn on your video or not. That's up to you. We like to see faces, and you're going to see ours, but turning it on is entirely up to you. We would ask that you make sure that your name is on the in the Zoom so that we know who's here. We would also ask, if you don't mind, to put your high school graduation year at the end of your name. That would help us as well. So if you can do that while we're going through our program today, so that we know both your name, and if you want to add a face, we can see a face, and we also know your class year. That helps us keep track of everybody that's here. So thanks again for coming. This is terrific. We have a number of Hood folks around the Zoom room. You're going to meet them all. I'm not going to introduce them all to you right now. They're going to introduce themselves as we move through the program. So you'll meet them. If you have questions at any point during the day, you can stick them into the chat or into the chat, I guess, is the best way to do that. You may also, if you would like, you can wave us down if you want to do it verbally. It's exciting to hear your voices as well. We're going to show you a lot of things. You're going to see a lot of information today. We're not going to tell you everything. We can't give you everything all in this brief period of time. But what we're very eager to do, we certainly want you to come out of today with a better understanding of Hood, but we also want you to come out of today with an interest and sort of an excitement to hear more. And we're going to give you a lot of opportunities to do that. One that is a great way to do it is to arrange for an individual visit with us. We can do that virtually if you're from, and I know we have some folks from different parts of the country and in fact the world. And so we're glad that you're here with us. We can do those visits virtually. We also do in-person visits, which is really exciting. Not all colleges are doing in-person visits, but we do that, and we do that in a very safe way. Masks and outdoor and social distancing and all that, but you actually get to see the campus in person, and we get to talk to you in person, and there's some of that engagement that's a pretty exciting part as well. So that's my official welcome. I get to introduce the next person who's going to take you through a little bit of the admissions process, so you all have the same understanding of what our application admissions process is. And who's going to handle that is our Director of Admission, Nikki Bamonti. Nikki?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I am a Hood alum myself, and so it is a thrill for me to be able to talk to you about this place that is so dear to all of us. I know we have students who are on this call some of you are sophomores, juniors, seniors, transfer students. So I know you're coming at this from a different time and a different stage in the process. So that's why I don't want to go into too much detail of any one person's stage. So just a really quick overview for you. First of all, no matter what stage you're in the process, you're doing the right thing. This is the best first step. So I know every school is doing virtual visits, and things like this are a great way that you can stay safe, and from geographically wherever you are, you can check out the schools that you want to see. And we're so glad that you selected Hood as a school to do a little more investigating with. So great first start, gold stars for everyone. If you are an underclassman, if you are a freshman, sophomore, or junior in high school, you are so ahead of the game, and this is just a fantastic opportunity for you to sort of be starting that process. some things that you can be doing right now if you are a freshman, sophomore, or junior in high school is to focus on your grades, to really, really pay attention to your, I know it's a hard time right now because classes are probably virtual for so many of you, and I know your high school career isn't looking like what you thought it would look like, but focus on those, dual enrollment courses, AP courses, college prep, honors classes. Those are things that we will look at when we're looking at your transcript. And when we get your transcript, we're looking at your freshman through junior years of high school. So really important, take the challenging classes, really push yourself, and be involved. Get involved in clubs and organizations, not just because they look good on your transcript, but because you're interested in them. Try out things. Don't be afraid to join a club and get involved and take on some leadership roles. Now is a great time to start to try those things. So for seniors, our application process, we try and make that as easy as possible. We do ask you to complete an essay, and I encourage you strongly, take your time with that essay. We look at it for so many things. That is a writing sample that should really tell us about who you are. I want to hear your perspective of things, and let that help me get to sort of paint a 3D picture of you that I can't get from just looking at your grades and your GPA on your transcript. So think about that. Have your English teachers, have your parents, have somebody help you review it, edit, read it. It is, like I said, an incredibly important writing sample. And then we do offer some incredible scholarships at Hood that we will consider you for just with your application. So I encourage you to apply as early as possible. December 1st is a great timeline to be considered for all, whether you're interested in our nursing program or any of our other programs, our full tuition scholarships that we offer. The earlier you apply, the better your chances of being considered for a scholarship like that. And we're, like I said, we're very generous with scholarships at Hood. The earlier you apply, the better off you will be. Our FAFSA, that's the free application for federal student aid. I encourage everyone to complete that document. Even if you're thinking, oh, I don't think I'm going to get any federal money, that is a very important step in this process. We look at that information and we offer Hood grants and additional funds for students when they fill out that information. Any questions about all of this can be answered by myself or anyone else a future time. Again, these are just some things that you want to make sure you're focusing on. For our transfers, you can apply now for undergrad and for students coming in as freshmen. So if you're a senior, as well as transfers, our application is open now, and we do encourage you to apply. For transfers, you can apply for spring or for fall right now. And if you would like to have your transcripts evaluated, we can do that for you. So you just have to email them you can send them right to me. And I'll put my email in the chat so you have that. Like I said, you're doing the right thing by being here. As Mr. Brown said, we do offer in-person visits, and this is going to be, today is a lot about us talking about Hood and talking to you. What we want is really to get information from you. That's our favorite part. We want to find out about you and how we can find if Hood is a good fit for you. So that's what happens when you come to campus or schedule a one-on-one interview with one of our admission counselors. And that's really the important part. We want to get to know you. And my last little bit of advice is that your admission counselor is going to be such an important part of your process. They will be a resource for you, but more than that, they'll be an advocate. So if we have scholarships, if we have things that you may qualify for, then that's a great opportunity for our counselors. If they know who you are, if they've been in communication with you, they'll say, oh, here's a good student who might be great for that scholarship, or here's somebody who we should reach out about this opportunity. So that's my little advice, but we're here to answer any questions that you have about the admission process. So thank you. And I will turn it over to Provost Ricker.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks so much. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are, everyone. It's a privilege to be with you today. My name is Debbie Ricker. I am the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs here at Hood College. And what that title really means is I have the great privilege of working with all of our faculty in all of our academic departments at both the undergraduate and the graduate level, as well as an amazing administrative team that delivers academic supports for all of our students and our faculty here on campus. So it's a real honor to be here with you today. For those who are considering Hood, as Nikki said, you are doing the right thing. This is a fantastic institution, and I've been privileged to be here for just a little over 5 years in this role. If you've already been admitted to Hood, congratulations. Great, congratulations, and we look forward to welcoming you on campus at a later visit as you were able to visit on campus. As Nikki was speaking, I was thinking about what she was saying with regard to your GPA and your transcript and your essay, and how we know that there's so much more about you and about a Hood student than what's on paper. There's more to you than a GPA, and there's more to you than a transcript. Similarly, we know there is much more to an academic experience, and particularly an academic experience at Hood College, than what happens in the classroom. Don't get me wrong, our classrooms are amazing. We have wonderful faculty, several of them I've invited to be on the call with you today because I'd love for you to meet them. Our classrooms are a highly engaging experience. As a small institution, we pride ourselves on having smaller classes. You're not going to be in a big lecture room of hundreds and hundreds of students. Small student faculty ratio because that's the way we like it. That's the way we like to teach, and we know that's the way a Hood student likes to learn. So we have over 30 plus undergraduate majors to choose from, and an array of minors that you can select to augment your academic experience and your professional portfolio. But one of the themes of today's conversation is all about student engagement. And as much as we love you being in the classroom with us, we love you being outside the classroom and doing things that apply what you're learning in the real world, including community engagement, service learning, volunteer work, internships, student research, and those sorts of things. And those are the topics that my colleagues are going to share with you just a little bit more about. What I'll do is I'll introduce them really quickly, and then I'll let them take over. We'll start with Dr. Chris Stromberg, who's from our chemistry and physics department. Dr. Stromberg is a chemist, and he is a co-principal investigator on one of our recent grants from the National Science Foundation for teaching fellows in science. So we're really proud of that work. And he's got an array of publications, many co-authored with students, reflecting his work on photodynamics and imagery and spectroscopy. So Dr. Stromberg is going to tell you a little bit about undergraduate research. We have Dr. Terry Ann Scott from the Department of History that's going to talk to you a little bit about her work with a program called Community Ambassadors, as well as an amazing experience for our students that she leads, which is a civil rights pilgrimage. So excited to have her here today to share with you a little bit about that. Another bragging point, last night I was honored to be with Dr. Scott as part of the launch of her new book entitled Seattle Sports, Play, Identity, and Pursuit in the Emerald City. And she and some of her contributing authors were together last night on campus via Zoom to talk about that book. So Terry, thanks for being here today. And finally, we have Dr. Lisa Littlefield. Dr. Littlefield leads our Center for Career Development and Experiential Education. And if you want an internship, that's the place to go. So Dr. Littlefield is here to talk to you a little bit about that aspect of student engagement. So Dr. Stromberg, you want to get us started?
Well, thank you, Provost Rickard. As Provost Rickard said, my name is Chris Stromberg. I'm a professor in the Department of Chemistry and Physics. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is a great way to get engaged with your faculty members and to get engaged in the disciplines that you're studying, which is undergraduate research. So there are many ways you can do undergraduate research at Hood. Some of these include doing internships, which Lisa Littlefield will talk about in a little while. There's also research opportunities with federal labs, companies, things like that around the area. In Frederick, we're only 2 miles from Fort Detrick, which is a big center for federal research. The United States Department of Agriculture is there. The National Cancer Institute is there. US AMRIT is there. So we have a lot of students who work over there doing research. But a great way to do research is also to work with your faculty members. And Hood has had a program for the last, I actually don't know when it started. It was before my time here, and I've been here for 16 years. From what I've been told, it's 25 to 30 years we've been funding faculty mentored student research at Hood through a program called the Summer Research Institute. And when I say research, most students think sciences, and we do have a very strong research program going on in all the science disciplines, but this program is open to any discipline. So we've had, for instance, Dr. Zaki in the political science department has done research work on the League of Women Voters in Frederick. And Dr. George from economics has done research on central bank policy and how that relates to racial disparities in results of those policies, things like that. We've had people from art and archaeology. Dr. Ross has taken students to Turkey to do archaeological digs. We've had people from history, people from foreign languages, doing projects, working with faculty, doing research, developing new knowledge in their disciplines. So my particular work is done in collaboration with the National Institute of Standards and Technology down in Gaithersburg. We're 25 miles away from that. And so what we do is we make molecules that are related to catalysts for producing hydrogen gas. So this has a sort of an alternative energy kind of spin to it. And then we make those molecules at Hood, and then we drive down to NIST, and we get to play with their $500,000 laser systems and shoot lasers at these molecules and see what happens. And I've been working on that project for the last 16 years, and we've gotten many papers out of that. Those papers are pretty much all done with undergraduate researchers. And so by the time they're applying to graduate school or applying to jobs, they can already say they have published work out there, that they've been involved in work that's published in peer-reviewed journals, which is a huge thing for, especially if you're going on to graduate school, but if you're going on to a job, to be able to say that you've done that kind of independent project where you've done long-term research that's resulted in a deliverable, a professional deliverable like that, is a fantastic way to build your resume. So I'll hand it back to Provost Ricker.
Thanks, Dr. Stromberg. Appreciate that. Dr. Scott, you want to take it from there and talk to us a little bit about your work in the history department?
Absolutely. Thank you, Provost Ricker. So a couple of things. As she mentioned, I'm going to talk to you very specifically about two programs. I am an associate professor of history in the history department. I'm also director of African American studies. So before I talk about the two programs, let me say that both of those, whether you're a history major or an African American studies minor, require an internship. And so because of that, my colleagues and I have forged really wonderful relationships with people from museums, battlefields in the immediate area, as well as the larger surrounding area. And so the kinds of experiences that you will get working at those spaces, archiving documents, working as docents, are really hands-on and take you out of the classroom and off of the campus into the world so that you get something already to put on your resume, you're forging relationships, and you're satisfying the credits for internships at the same time. So the two programs that I want to talk to you about, the first one is called Project Pilgrimage. Before coming to Hood, I've been here about 4 years. I was working at the University of Washington. I was teaching there in Seattle. And so through there, I forged a relationship with an organization called Project Pilgrimage. And I was able to bring both Hood College and Project Pilgrimage together since being here. And Provost Ricker has been a really wonderful support of that program. It is an organization that takes a group of interracial, intergenerational, interfaith people on a bus for 10 days. We sleep in the hotels, contrary to when my mother first asked me, are you sleeping on the bus? No, we stay at hotels. And we go through different spaces related to the modern civil rights movement. So we're going through Mississippi, for instance, to where Emmett Till's murder was in the Interpretive Center. We're actually, we go through to Birmingham, to New Orleans. We're traveling with actual foot soldiers, some very well-known individuals who stay with us, and we learn from them. And so we're meeting these, we're not only going to museums, we're going to other spaces that were instrumental, Selma, like the Edmund Pettus Bridge, to the modern civil rights movement. You're not only learning about the movement, we're thinking about how we can take the lessons from the movement and apply that to our everyday lives today. So we're learning lessons about perseverance and social and racial activism while we're engaged in that program. We take at least 2 students from Hood College. There are 2 spaces on the bus saved for them each year. And the wonderful thing about that is because of the partnership between Hood College and Project Pilgrimage, you don't pay anything. All of your costs are covered. And so you apply for the program. We have a panel there at Hood, and you are able to go on this program. If you don't make it the first year, you can apply as many times as you wish. And so you pay nothing for that. So it's a really incredible experience. I have not heard anyone describe it as anything less than life-changing. The other program that I'm going to talk to you about today is Community Ambassadors. So Community Ambassadors program is a class as well as a program, and it is a relationship between Hood College and the Frederick Housing Authority. And so each fall semester, we take a group of students from Hood College and connect them in a group mentoring session with middle school and high schoolers from the local housing authority. And so many of them are children, they're all economically marginalized students. And so the hope is that Hood College students can serve as mentors, as examples, to make sure that those children are seeing themselves as college ready. They come on campus, we teach them things like goal setting, how to apply for colleges, how to deal with bullying, all sorts of sessions. And the wonderful thing about this is it's student led. And so I'm there project managing, facilitating, but the students are the ones who are deciding what to do. And it's had a particular appeal, it's for everyone, but it's had a particular appeal to a lot of student athletes or those who are involved in sports, because we use sports as an anchor. We use sports to be able to connect to the students and to think about how you can use sports as a way of community uplift. And so those are the two programs that you would have access to at Hood College. Those are two of many, let me emphasize. We are very much at this school, put a very huge emphasis, as Provost Ricker was talking about, in experiential learning, getting you outside of the classroom into real life situations and connecting with the community. So if you have any questions, I don't know if we're doing a question and answer at the end perhaps, then I'll wait for those. Thank you so much.
Terry, thank you. And last but not least, I'm delighted Dr. Littlefield is here from the Career Center, which is sort of a touch point and anchor point for any student who might be looking for an internship or an opportunity to get engaged in the local community. That's also organized through her office. Shameless self-promotion, her office also helps coordinate an annual majors and minors fair for our students. Many of you might be considering a major or a couple of majors, or maybe completely undecided, and that's okay. We will help you. Hood is a wonderful place as a liberal arts institution to find your passion. And so Dr. Littlefield and her team coordinate in great partnership with the faculty and our academic departments an annual majors and minors fair, which is going to be scheduled for next week. So Lisa, thanks for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here today. And I just wanted to point out that you may have noticed that both of the faculty members, our esteemed faculty members that went before me, took some time out of their component of this program today to talk a little bit about internships. And that's indicative of the partnership that the Career Center has with faculty members. So we're not a separate entity from our faculty and from your classroom experiences, and our wonderful faculty at Hood are always sharing opportunities and unique things that are accessible to our students that we can promote through the Career Center and that we can connect and support you to as you go through the application process. So the goal of the Career Center is not just to meet you at the end of your college experience. It is, in fact, to begin working with you right away. And as Provost Ricker mentioned, one of the primary ways that we do that is through the Majors Fair, which is coming up next week. And this year, since it's virtual, we've got faculty members joining us on 3 separate days to talk one-on-one with students about all the different ways you can choose to combine majors and minors and how you can enrich your classroom experiences to prepare you for success in graduate school or how to enter the work world in the best way possible. So the Career Center begins with career development, which is actually embedded in the name of the Career Center. We're the Career Development Center and Center for Experiential Education. We do this through career assessments. So if you are really uncertain and want a little guidance and you feel like a career test could be of help to you, we have several that you can choose from. They're easy to take. take them from your computer at home, and then we help you kind of interpret the results and figure out a spectrum of things that you might want to explore more fully. We also, as Provost Ricker mentioned, have civic engagement opportunities. And when we're not under COVID restrictions, we normally take students out into the community for volunteer opportunities a couple times a week to 3 or 4 organizations that we partner with, including the Frederick Rescue Mission. We go to Daybreak Senior Services, Blessings in a Backpack. There are a number of organizations that are our partners. As part of the development of this idea of exploring career through volunteer opportunities and nonprofits, we host twice a year 2 lovely community service fairs that feature about 40 nonprofit organizations spanning an entire breadth of issues that can be addressed in the community for students to learn more about the problems that are facing our citizenry today, and then also to find out how they can use volunteer opportunities in these agencies to build their resume, to help them clarify their major choice, and then also to get what we call a part of the Hood investment in being more than just a student, but also being a good part of the community and giving back and understanding your power, your personal authority in the world to make change happen. After getting you kind of to where you think you might want to be in terms of a major and working with your academic advisors and your faculty members to make a really well and good choice about that, we move into the exciting area of internships. Internships are a critical part of your college experience. They can help as much to determine what you want to do as much as to determine what you don't want to do. So even a student who has an internship that's a less than optimal kind of match for them, ultimately because it didn't fulfill their needs in some way, that's okay, as long as it's a good learning opportunity. So we want you not just to be guessing by the time you graduate, we want you to really have a firm sense of what it is that your passion is all about, what's going to make a meaningful and secure life for you after you leave Hood. So we work on resumes and cover letters, application process, interview skills. We want you to be just really well primed to get the best possible internships in governmental agencies, some of the science-related organizations, and some of the nonprofit and politically based organizations that both Dr. Stromberg and Dr. Scott talked about. We work to help students get scholarships to participate in special programs like the National Security Scholars Program every year, opportunities offered by NIST, the National Institute of Science and Technology. All of these things are right on our doorstep, and we're so fortunate at Hood to be on this biomedical corridor. I don't want to take up all the time today, but there's so many great places that we work with. We could have a long list to go through. Internships can be done for academic credit. We assist students in registering for those experiences and making sure they get the credit that advances them to graduation. We also do internships in our office that are not for credit. They're just for experience and resume building. Lastly, but not leastly, you've got to conduct a job search before you leave Hood, and we are fully invested in that. We do several major career fairs throughout the year. We have one coming up in November, that's our STEM career fair. We have one in the spring that brings about 80 different employers to campus. This year, we're doing both of those virtually. We have employers that are now virtually visiting us almost every week to talk one-on-one to students, recruiters that can help explain the processes to apply for positions, what you need to do to be prepared as the best possible candidate that you can be. We do other fun stuff. We have a wonderful etiquette dinner every year that brings students together with an expert that comes and talks about how to be business savvy out there in the world, which fork and knife to use, but also how to make good chatter across the dinner table when you're meeting a potential employer, or a good networking connection. We work with the alumni office. We just had a great alumni panel a few weeks ago that brought together a bunch of Hood graduates who now work in the human resources field. They spoke about all of the challenges that COVID is presenting to people and how HR professionals are addressing those things and still acquiring wonderful candidates for their companies and organizations. We are the coordinators for study abroad in our office too. We work with a wonderful professor of German named Dr. Scott Pensikowski. Dr. P is one of the best loved, I think, faculty members on campus, and he works individually, one-on-one with students to make sure that you're planning for, thinking about how you could spend either a short-term trip or a full semester in a foreign country once we're back to a little bit more normal set of circumstances on travel and those kinds of things that are safe for students to participate in. So services out of our office are available to folks to apply for help support graduate school applications too. So that's the last thing I'll mention to you. I know this is a little early in the game to be thinking about graduate school already, but we have a phenomenal graduate school at Hood, and many students elect to go right out of their undergraduate program into some of the advanced degree programs that we offer. We have a unique 4+ program that allows students to begin working on their graduate programs while they're still an undergraduate, shortening the time and the investment, financial investment that they would be making to get that advanced degree soon. I'm getting the word that I got to wrap it up, but I love talking about the Career Center and I can't wait to meet you all there. Thanks.
Thanks, Lisa, and thanks, Chris and Terry, for your time today. I hope this has given you a good sense of student engagement at Hood, particularly from the academic side, and reaffirms for you that it's not just something that we talk about, it's something that we do, and it's something that we live, and it's something that's integral to a Hood College experience. So I'm happy to address any questions folks might have throughout the afternoon, but with that, I will turn it over, Bill. I don't know if you're going to take it from here or right to Sarah.
Well, we will flip to Sarah, but I do want to thank all the folks from the academic side. The other part that we're going to talk about is not completely separate. There's a lot of integration because there's a lot of things that happen at Hood, and there's overlapping and integration, and it's a wonderful thing. So I will turn it over to Sarah Tanzis. Sarah?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Tansitz, and I'm the Interim Director of Student Engagement and Orientation. And I just finished my 4th week. So I have two students with me who have been here longer than I have as well. And so we're going to go over a little bit about some of the other opportunities outside of, but is still parallel with the academic engagement aspect. So if Molly and DeMonte would like to introduce themselves. I don't know who wants to go first.
DeMonte, you want to go first?
Sure, why not? Hi, everyone. My name is DeMonte Bird. I am a junior here at Hood. I'm one of the orientation coordinators this year, which basically means I help plan and oversee orientation assistance for the summertime, which you guys will probably see me again, hopefully, in this upcoming year. I'm also a Black Student Union president this year, and a ton of other stuff that I do on campus. I'll pass it over to Molly.
Hi, my name is Molly Herdering. I am also a junior here at Hood, and I do live on campus. A part of our student engagement, I am president of our Career Student Union, which is a part of our diversity coalition along with our BSU and a couple other groups. And I'm also a part of orientation. I'm an orientation assistant, so I help lead the groups for orientation. I'm part of some of the performing arts clubs like musical theater on campus. And I do have an emotional support animal with me on campus. She's a little kitten named Stevie. So that's really fun too. So if you have any questions about that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions about that.
Great. So using the reactions on Zoom, we're going to have some involvement and engagement here. If you participate in activities outside of the classroom currently, put a thumbs up. Awesome. Great. So yeah, we have over 45 clubs and organizations at Hood. So we have something for everybody. And if you want to develop something, say you're a part of mock trial. And I'm just saying, because I don't believe we have a mock trial team here. So if you're part of mock trial right now in high school, I was part of mock trial. It's great. If you want to create that here and develop that, we can start a new club. So that's the great part here, is that we're always growing. I know there are multiple different things that you can do. If you're really into singing, we have a chorus, we have musical theater, we have BSU, QSU. We have something for everybody. We also have events. So there's events with all of these organizations almost every single day. There's something going on, whether it's a club meeting. I know today there's intramural sports going on. Every Saturday there's a new intramural event happening. There also our campus activities board is doing tie-dye today from 3 to 5. And we also do virtual things. So earlier, well, I should say last weekend, we did a Fill a Friend. So every student had the ability to stuff a stuffed animal. And we did it not only in person, but we were able to mail our friends that are virtual right now a stuffed animal with the filling, so they can also fill a friend at home. We really try hard, especially during this pandemic, to make sure that all students feel engaged and have the opportunity to participate in different things. I know BSU and QSU had events this past week. Molly, Dom, would you like to talk about the events that your organizations have held recently?
Sure. So QSU just this past Thursday, in celebration, October is LGBTQ plus History Month. So we've been doing a lot of events this month. This past Thursday, we just did pronoun plaques. For next Wednesday is International Pronouns Day. So we got these cute little wooden circles at Walmart, and we just had a bunch of pens and markers for everybody to decorate and write their own pronouns down. So they could put either on their desk, they could even hang it on their dorm door if they wanted to, post a picture for it on Wednesday. And we just have new events every weekend. At the end of the month, we're also showing Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is really excited. We're gonna have a costume contest. We're gonna have lots of snacks. So we're really looking forward to that.
With BSU, last Thursday also, we had a movie night. We watched the movie Us, and that's one of the few events we do throughout the whole school year, not just a semester thing. I know next week we're probably going to do an Uncensored series, basically a topic of discussion. We talk about different topics in terms of like, am I Black enough was a topic last year, or different racial things that's happening around the world. We also host different dances. Well, prior to COVID, we host different dances and stuff like that at our BSU's office. And I know one of our favorite things, hopefully we get to do this year, is pre-exam goodie bag. We have like a pre-exam coffee house that CAP hosts. And so BSU sponsors the goodie bags that people, parents and guardians can buy to give to their students for good luck for the final exams for the semester. So we host a lot of different activities, and definitely responsive to like the student population and what they want and stuff like that. So.
Great. And there's also opportunities for leadership and leadership development, as well as volunteerism. So I know right now I'm working with Reverend Beth, who also works at the college, and we're doing a canned food drive that actually just ended this past Friday, and we're going to start a coat drive for the community. So we do give back. We also, I know I was asked, and I worked with Residential Life to have students decorate bags for the Out of the Darkness walk that's occurring today. So decorating bags that give hope and strength for those who are affected by suicide awareness or by suicide. So talking about suicide awareness. There's so many different things. I could probably talk about student engagement forever. But we're also working on our leadership development. So developing leadership and doing almost like a process. So having different leadership trainings. So I know I've already talked to the advisors of all of the clubs, and we're going to put on a training in the spring for all of the executive boards. And so therefore that they develop their leadership skills further than what they already have. I'm working with Residential Life to create trainings for our first year students inside the residence halls. And it starts off little and we grow it from there. So it's really important. What kind of things are you all looking for in engagement? What kind of clubs and organizations are you looking to be a part of? As I said, there's over 45 here, but we're always growing. It's really important to think about what you want. Diversity and LGBTQ, that's great. So we also have Dom and Molly. Can you talk about the Diversity Coalition a little bit?
Okay, so our Diversity Coalition is what we like to call kind of our nice little group of all of our diversity clubs on campus. So it's a part of Queer Student Union, Black Student Union, Feminist Student Union, LC, which is our law community app for our Latinx students, and I'm forgetting one, aren't I, Demonte?
ASU, so our African Student Union.
Yes. And so we really work together as clubs on campus to help figure out really what we can do to help promote the diversity on campus. So as well as us having our own weekly club meetings, the Diversity Coalition as a group also holds events throughout the year. We have barbecues sometimes, we have fun big group of events on campus that just really brings everybody together and tries to promote that diversity and that inclusion on campus, because everybody's different and Frederick is a very diverse place. And so we have a lot of very diverse people on campus, around campus. So we really try to bring everybody in and give something to everybody.
That's great. And so another person put music and art. So we have those organizations as well. I also wanted to get into the Student Government Association. So our Student Government Association, and maybe Provost Rickard could help me a little bit on this one, but they are a wonderful group of students that are able to lead all of the student body in different ways. So I know our SGA helped us put on Fall Family Weekend this 2 weekends ago. And they really, truly helped with our first ever Fall Family Weekend parade. Do you want to add anything else?
No, they absolutely did. It's a phenomenal group. SGA is really the voice, the governing body of the students here on campus. And as a small institution at Hood, the student voice matters to us very much. In fact, there are a number of committees that I oversee through my office, and it's not often that we don't have a committee with student representation on it, and it's not often that we make a decision regarding the student experience that there isn't engagement with SGA or another student representative as we move forward. We're in the process now of interviewing candidates for a new dean of students here at Hood, and we've got 2 fabulous student representatives that have been working since last year with us on that committee, and Dr. Littlefield serves on that group with me. But the student voice is very important to us, and I think both Demonte and Molly can attest to that.
Absolutely, thank you. A student put in here social activities for those who are not into partying. Absolutely, so we do have that. So our CAB, our Campus Activities Board, puts on an event every either Friday or Saturday. So coming up next weekend, we're doing, I'm calling it a person hunt to be all inclusive. And they're going to be handing out flashlights, kind of like flashlight tag, because they're doing it at night. So we got new flashlight keychains that every student that shows up will get a new flashlight keychain. And that's what they get to use to play essentially flashlight tag. So we have that going on. And that's happening at, I think, 8 o'clock at night. So that'll go from 8 until 10. And as I said, this weekend, they're having tie-dye in the middle of the day. They're also CAB is having a recruitment event. So all these organizations have, for lack of a better term, a recruitment event for all the students. So whether that's a club fair or just walking up to someone and saying, hey, you're coming to all of our events. Do you want to join? That's also a great way to get to meet people. So all the groups do different things on the weekends. There's always things going on. There's also virtual bingo. A lot of the clubs now, since we're virtual, there's virtual bingo. A lot of the clubs are also doing a hybrid model in their programming. So they might have a club meeting that's in person, but it's also virtual so that everybody can participate. I know we put on, senior staff put on a game night a couple weeks ago, and everybody was in person, but we also did a virtual aspect of it. And we had winners both virtually and in person. So we gave out gift cards for Amazon, and we played bingo. And so some winners were virtual and some were in person, and it was great. And that way everybody had an opportunity to participate in those programming. I think that seems to be about it. Are there any questions on this? We have a little bit of time. Is that okay? Okay. Does anybody want to know about more clubs and organizations specifically? Dom and Molly, do you want to talk about how you join your organizations or how you got involved in your organizations?
I would definitely say how I got involved in BSU my freshman year. They had Diversity Coalition hosted the Welcome Back Cookout, and the BSU president at the time was there, and she was going around inviting people to the meeting, the open house meeting, which we call them. They usually have food and stuff like that, and so she invited me there, and I fell in love off the first meeting. And so after that, they had runnings for freshman representation on the executive board of BSU, and I won for freshman rep. That's what it's called, freshman rep. And then the next year, my sophomore year, I ran for president. I won, and that's how basically all the clubs go. I know student engagement hosts the club fair, student engagement fair, I think it's called, and they basically have all the clubs, all 40 plus clubs inside WIT, and basically you get to walk around and sign up for different clubs that you want to join, clubs, activities, and stuff like that. And they give out treats, candies, ice cream for about an hour and a half, something like that. I know this year was virtual. And so that's basically how I joined all the organizations that I'm a part of.
So QSU, every year our kind of welcome back event is we always tie-dye something, and I am a huge sucker for tie-dye. So that's really how they got me. They were like, come tie-dye. And so from there, I actually my first year, I wasn't that active in the group. I was really busy my first semester. I was kind of overwhelmed with the transition. So I wasn't as steadily active in the group. I would go to meetings every once in a while, but it was really last year that I got really involved. There was an opening for secretary, so I'm an education English major, so I love writing emails. So I was like, heck yes, I'll be the secretary for QSU. And so then this year I got bumped up to co-president, which I love. I love being able to be president of this club and just kind of give love everywhere and support. So it's really fun. You make it what you want to be. I know this year for us, especially when we do our RSVPs for all of our meetings, I include a little question that they can answer at the end that says, what do you want to see out of the club meetings? So a lot of the clubs really, it's not what the exec board wants to do. And I think that's right, why it's important we also have that first year representative, because we're really getting to see like what everybody on campus wants to see out of our meetings and not just what exec board thinks the campus wants to see. So that's really why I got so involved, is it's really catered to the student body and not just the exec board.
Absolutely. And so I also wanted to bring up Pergola Connect, which is a newer program. It's available mostly for students, faculty, and staff, but it is a platform that houses all of the upcoming events and any meeting and anything that all the students can go to. They RSVP on there, and it's a great way to advertise and build community. With that, it also allows to build a co-curricular transcript, which is very helpful when you are applying for jobs so that you know what you did. So if you participated in a leadership event, your first year in college, your first semester, you'll remember that 4 years from then because it's in your co-curricular transcript. It's one of those pieces of information that you're able to develop and create as you go through. So you're not trying to remember what you did your first semester in college during your last semester senior year as you're applying for jobs, or during your junior year while you're applying for internships, or your sophomore year applying for internships. It's one of those abilities, or it's one of those tools to be able to, that makes a difference. And you're able to create that on Pergola Connect. So, and I'm sure that even the students involved in this, it's a new platform. So they're building theirs now, and they're going to probably go back in and start creating what they've done. You get to build it, and then it's saved. So every time you go to an event, it can be on your co-curricular transcript. Every time you're the president of an organization, you can put down your information in there and reflect on your time being president and what it was like, and how it changed, how your experience as secretary for Molly changed from secretary to co-president, and how you can see how she grew from secretary to co-president. So if there's no other questions right now, I know we're a little bit early, but Molly,
Can I jump in 1 second?
Absolutely.
So I also wanted to give one other example of how the sort of extracurricular or co-curricular stuff relates back to your departments. So and your majors. So pretty much every major, every department has some sort of social organization there as well. So for those students who are really passionate about chemistry, we have the free radicals. I do warn people not to put free radicals on their resume without any sort of explanation of that. But they're planning, next week is the National Chemistry Week. So they're planning our traditional mole hunt, where we hide little fuzzy moles around the science building, and people can either keep the moles out. Yep, Provost Rickard has one. I didn't actually have one in my home office. I got some in my office at work. But you know, you can either keep the little fuzzy mole, or you can turn them in for candy. And that's a celebration of what we call Mole Day, which is October 23rd. Or they do science nights, STEM nights at local elementary schools. Dr. Lawrence, one of our other professors in the department, leads them to go out to local elementary schools and give science nights and really be able to convey their passion for the sciences and for chemistry in particular to people who are budding scientists. And so they have a service learning aspect to that as well. And then they can also help us raise some money for funding our students who've done research. They often go to conferences, and our student groups can help with that too. So We've got lots of opportunities for those people who are really passionate about their disciplines to do those sort of very co-curricular stuff along with their disciplines as well.
Absolutely. And I think as this goes on, you'll learn that you can grow and have those co-curricular experiences no matter what your discipline is going to be. They're available for all students.
There are a number of honor societies on campus as well. Some are affiliated with specific majors, but you definitely, want to be acknowledged for your academic achievement and for service. And there's ALD, there's the Hood Ionic Society, Mortarboard is on our campus, and some of the faculty could probably even tell you more about those that are specific to their disciplines, as well as more broadly nationally recognized too.
I would say one last thing, I guess to wrap up our portion of it in a way, or just to summarize. A word of advice, I would say college is what you make it. I think Molly touched on this a little bit. And I could take it like a step further and say life is what you make it. You can use this as anything, if it's in your job after college, if it's in grad school, if it's in your undergrad, if it's in club activities that you're doing, anything that you're doing. I would say it's what you make it. If you want to have a good college experience, I would say get out there once you're comfortable in college and get out there and meet people and join clubs, or talk to faculty members. If it's after college, if you're having troubles with your job, go talk to your boss, stuff like that. So your life is what you make it. And Carissa can also help you with that also. So I would just say once you step into Hood College campus or anywhere you go, just make the best of it, because you never know when you'll get another chance to go to college again.
Yeah, I always like to say when I give tours, I always like to say that if you're bored on campus, you're bored by choice. We literally have so many events happening. And I really like to think that we have so many clubs, because especially since we're a Greek-free campus, so we don't have those traditional fraternities and sororities that everybody puts their energies into our clubs on campus. So we're always putting events on. So there's always something for you to do on campus.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Sarah and Dom and all the faculty. Chris, and this has been great. I hope you've all gotten a taste of what Hood is like, and certainly the eagerness to learn more. You've seen a lot of and heard from a lot of the great people, but that's a part of, it's the most important part probably, but it's only part of Hood. The other part is our physical plant, the campus. We want you to see some of that, and we're fortunate to have two of our outstanding admission counselors, Stephen Garner and India Dennis, are going to take you around the campus. Stephen's going to be our tour guide, and India is going to monitor the chat to answer questions and help direct things, and may pull Molly and DeMonte into some of that discussion. So at this moment, we'll turn it over to Stephen and India.
Hello, thank you so much, Mr. Brown. So I'm perfectly okay presenting the other part of what we have to offer. And I'm going to do the old screen share thing so I can bring up our wonderful campus. Before I jump into that, I wanted to mention, India, please feel free to tap Dom and Molly throughout the presentation if you'd like to as well. I also want to strongly encourage everybody, if you guys feel like you want to speak during the tour, I really want this to function more as an interactive and an opportunity for you guys to ask any questions that you might have to the wonderful people who are in here. So take that opportunity. We'd love to hear more from you guys, and I love to hear your wonderful voices and see your wonderful faces. So if you're so inclined, feel free. But I will start off here by getting my screen shared. And what we're going to do today is talk about our wonderful campus from the virtual side of things. So I always tell the students who do come to campus to see our campus right now during this interesting time that the virtual tour is a great supplement to that, because you get to see inside a lot of the buildings that we are currently not going into on the physical campus tours. So if you are inclined to come visit us on campus after seeing the virtual tour, there is a ton of great information and things that you maybe aren't seeing directly from the virtual tour. So I strongly encourage you to come to campus if you're so inclined, if you're interested. I think that the virtual tour is great, but the being on campus too can be really wonderful. So feel free to join us for one of those tours, and we'll make sure you have links and everything to connect to those. I will jump in by introducing myself a little more, probably is a good idea. My name is Stephen Garner. I'm an admission counselor here at Hood. So my job is to work with you students and get you through the whole process. So from your very first touch point at Hood, whether you're a first year student or a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, or a senior, I am here to communicate with you and make sure that you find every resource you need to make your entire process as smooth and wonderful as possible, and hopefully informative too. So when you submit your applications, myself or one of my many wonderful colleagues will be reading those applications and making those decisions, and then having our wonderful committee make their final decisions on the applications. I know our director spoke a lot, Nikki Bamonti spoke a lot about this great process, but I always like to mention the admission counselor specific role in that. One of the things I want to emphasize is we're here to talk to you more than we're here to do basically anything else. So please reach out to us, because we know we'll definitely be reaching out to you guys, but any communication you guys want to have with us, whether that's questions or just, checking in or seeing, hey, did you get my app? Whatever it is, we're more than happy to always have the conversation. We're a small school, and we are happy about that, because that gets us the ability to actually have those conversations and spend the time. And if you need 4 hours of my day, I'm going to give you 4 hours of my day. So whatever that is, I wanted to make sure I emphasize that. So we'll jump in to our tour now, as we have given a nice long introduction. But I do have videos. I will play some of these videos while we're talking, in between, so that you guys can get a chance to see some of the moving pictures inside the buildings. There are some videos we won't watch, so please feel free to revisit this site, which is available to every student and anybody who wants to see it. But we will start by talking about the wonderful Tatum Arts Center. So Tatum Arts is home to a large number of our educational programs, from education, to psychology, to studio art, to law and criminal justice. There's a number of really great facilities to accommodate those programs, including the Avalon, which is our black box theater. We also have our Hazen Gallery, which accommodates that studio art major. There's a wonderful gallery space for students to be able to present their artwork. We also have our moot courtroom, which we'll show a few pictures of here. If I can move your faces. There we go. So it's just some pictures of the moot courtroom. The moot courtroom was designed to give our law and criminal justice students a place to practice all that wonderful law jargon. So this is one of the new spaces from our most recent renovation of Tatum back in 2016. And it's a great space. It's getting a lot of use by our law and criminal justice majors, as well as community members for their events and things like that. So it's a really neat space. And yes, in the Tatum Arts Center, I mentioned studio art. There is a visual art or performing art requirement as part of our core curriculum. So everyone will get an opportunity to study in Tatum, whether that be in the arts or psychology, or one of the many programs I mentioned. And that will wrap up our time right now for Tatum, and we will be retouching it a little bit in our academics tour over here, the video I've got queued up. But what I'd love to do is now that you have the introduction to Tatum, we'll watch this little short video. We'll get a little introduction to some of the other buildings around here, and then we'll go into those buildings and see some more detail and talk about them with our wonderful students. So let's take a moment here, and I actually think I need to do a quick change with the way I've shared this. There we go. Here we are.
Welcome to the newly renovated Tatum Art Center, which is home to the Hudson Art Gallery, the Departments of Art and Archaeology, Global Languages and Cultures, Psychology, Education, and Law and Criminal Justice. New additions to the building include a moot courtroom and state-of-the-art classrooms. Located on the bottom floor, the Avalon Theater, which is also known as the Black Box, was recently revamped and hosts a lot of Hood College's theater productions.
Here we are at the Hudson Science and Technology Center, which houses the departments of biology, as well as the departments of chemistry, mathematics, nursing, and computer science and information technology. Recent renovations here have added additional state-of-the-art equipment and expanded space for the nursing and coastal and watershed study programs. We're here in front of Rosenstock Hall, which houses the departments of economics, English, political science, history, business administration, and communication arts. In addition to numerous classrooms, Rosenstock Hall houses the Hudson Auditorium and the Center for Academic Achievement and Retention. The newest addition to this building is the Virginia Munson Hamill Trading Room, complete with state-of-the-art technology to simulate real work with financial markets. The Beneficial Hudson Library features study spaces for individuals and small and large groups. The library supports the research, teaching, and learning needs of faculty and students with access to a substantial collection, magazines, newspapers, and electronic books, as well as access to the Maryland Interlibrary Consortium. Broadbeck Music Hall, the oldest building on campus, houses the music department. Broadbeck features individual practice rooms as well as a recently renovated concert hall, where recitals and concerts are performed throughout the year. Here in the heart of Hood College is Alumni Hall. Our 4 columns represent hope, opportunity, obligation, and democracy. In addition to being the main administration building, Alumni Hall houses the departments of social work and sociology.
Welcome to Blazer Radio, the voice of Hood College, which gives the students the opportunity to experience a hands-on studio environment.
Fabulous. All right, so what we'll do is we'll sort of go in reverse order there, and we'll talk a little bit about a modified reverse order, and we'll talk about the buildings in a little more detail. And then I would love to be able to tap Dom and Molly, and I'll actually have you guys jump in really quick and tell us a little bit about your academics. So if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick overview of the major that you are studying, and maybe what your favorite class you've taken here at Hood so far has been. Molly, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, of course. So I am an English secondary education. My major is English with a literature concentration, and I get a certification in secondary education. So I spend a lot of time in our Tatum Arts Center, because that's where our education program is, and in Rosenstock Hall, which is where our English department is kind of centered out of. I think so far one of the really good classes I had was last semester. I took a African American poetry class, which was really interesting to look at. We looked at poems and songs all the way back from the beginning of our history, and kind of went all the way up to now our most recent stuff. And it was really interesting to see how the poetry really changed throughout all the years. So that was one of my favorite classes I've taken so far.
Excellent. Thank you. And Dom, if you wouldn't mind.
Hi, I'm a political science major with a minor in African American Studies. And I did have a major change. I went from an environmental science major to political science. And so I guess I can give one of my favorite classes in the environmental science portion was actually my environmental science lab. That's kind of cliche. But it was very hands-on. We did different stuff. I know my favorite activity we did a trail walk of Gambro State Park for our class trips. And my favorite class for my political science course was, I want to say, my women's in politics class, because it shows how much we need our women in politics, how their perspective is way different from a male perspective. And so those are my favorite two classes. I do most of my classes in Rosenstock Hall.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you both so much. I love that you mentioned that you changed majors. That's not an uncommon thing. I think that it's a really great thing to be. Well, so one of the wonderful things about Hood is that you get to explore all the different majors that you're interested in when you come. So maybe you're not dead set on one thing. You get to come take classes in them. Often students will double major, or they'll do a major and a minor, or you'll double major and minor, which is an undertaking, but there's lots of opportunity to do that. So so thanks for mentioning that. I myself switched majors 3 times. So, so yes, it's a great thing to do. And I strongly recommend when you get to Hood, talking to your academic advisor about all the different things you're interested in. So we'll jump back into our academic side of campus here. I want to talk about the Hodson Beneficial Library. The Hodson Beneficial Library is undergoing some renovations right now that I am incredibly excited about. The Hodson Beneficial Library used to have a witching hour. It would close in the evening around 10 or 11 at night, depending on the day or the time of year. So there wasn't a place to necessarily stay up all night and study if you absolutely needed to, although I don't always recommend all-nighters. I think that having that as an option is a good thing. And part of this new renovation is the entire first floor of the Hodson Beneficial Library will be open for 24 hours a day. It'll also have a cafe in there, so you'll be able to get a little bite to eat or hopefully some coffee and things like that if you need to. And so those are some of the wonderful things that the renovation is accommodating. But there's a lot more, the whole first floor being much more accommodating to students' study spaces. So we've removed any hard copy library stacks from the first floor and converted that into more computer cluster areas and places for students to gather and study. There's reservable rooms around the area that you can get private study rooms and things like that. So there's a lot of wonderful changes coming to the Hodson Beneficial Library. Hodson Beneficial Library also houses our Office of Student Success. Student Success is an incredibly instrumental department for our students and I think subsequently our faculty as well. But it's an incredible resource for students to be able to get really anything they might need academically. So whether that be, tutoring or mentoring or any accessibility needs, they're a wonderful office to be connected to even before you get to campus. So if you ever have questions for them or you want to talk about your, your academic plan or anything like that, we would love to connect you with someone from Student Success. It is also home to our IT department and a number of other wonderful offices. So please take advantage of those. We love when students do take advantage of the Student Success Office, and they'll be instrumental in your first year advising as well. So definitely a good place to know about. And that renovation will be finished just next month, so we're very excited about it. We will then move on over to our Rosenstock Hall, which we discussed quite a bit, but I wanted to make sure you saw some more pictures of our glorious Hodson Auditorium. It's a wonderful performing arts space and community gathering space. We have a number of different events here a year. Our performing artists will have their musicals here. And I'd actually love if one of our students would talk about some of the annual stuff we do in the Hodson Auditorium, if they have experience with some of that.
Molly performs there. Molly, you should talk about
Yeah,
that.
I think so. I was gonna call on her, but I'm glad Dom did.
Okay, so I am a part of our Hood College Student Musical Theater, which does, our performances do take place in the auditorium. And I am especially more on the tech side. I do kind of more backstage stuff. So I stay in the booth in the auditorium. But the auditorium is a wonderful place. I love being in it. So like I said, we have our musicals, we do movie showings in the auditorium. When we have guest speakers, they come in and speak in the auditorium. It is usually one of our places we actually don't have classes in because we realistically don't have big enough classes to go in there. But right now, we are taking advantage of the auditorium to use it for our socially distanced classes sometimes. And there's just always so many events happening in the auditorium. There's a lot of events during orientation that you'll stay in the auditorium for. And it's just a wonderful place for me because I love performing arts, so I love being in the auditorium.
Yeah, excellent. That's perfect. There's some truly wonderful events that happen in the Hudson Auditorium. We do movie nights there too and stuff like that. We have this year we are having a couple classes that I believe are have meeting in the Hudson Auditorium because they have ample space to spread out. But normally you would not. Our classes are never larger than 35 at most students. The largest roster for a class is about 34, I believe. So you'll never have a class larger than that. And the average class size is closer to 15. So most of them will be much smaller than that 34, 35 number. And the student professor ratio is 11-1. So you're going to have a lot of your face time with your professors like you're getting right now. So we definitely encourage students and faculty to connect in that way. And I think the professors love when students are connecting with them because it helps everybody make the most out of every class. So yeah, I also want to note, you can just see it over here. This area here represents the average class size. It seats about 15, and that would be our outdoor classroom. But back into Rosenstock, I wanted to mention the trading room, which is a good thing to mention because this is our a place for our finance students and our business students to learn some wonderful things and see this great stock ticker on the wall. It's basically like a mini Wall Street. So it's got an interactive computer lab and just some really cool opportunities associated with the Munson Hamill trading room. And then I also wanted to mention our broadcast studio, some great photos here. We have these Blackmagic cameras, which we actually got from a local TV station. And you can see our studio space. So if you're interested in broadcast journalism, there's some really cool opportunities for that as well. One of the largest majors at Hood is business, which is housed here in Rosenstock, as they mentioned in our little video just before. So we will jump over these two buildings, but we'll not forget them, I promise. I wanted to talk a little bit about Alumni Hall here, which is where some of our wonderful people who are on this call with us have their offices on the first floor. A lot of our senior team, so including Debbie Ricker here, our provost, her office is there, as well as our president, President Chapdelaine. Our dean of students is Olivia White, her office there, and many others on that first floor. So definitely a good place to go visit when you do get to campus. There's also two academic programs that have their offices and their classrooms in Alumni Hall. That would be social work and sociology. So certainly one to note. Also, human resources and our accounting offices are here in Alumni Hall. So if you plan to get a job on campus, of which there are lots and lots, then they would be good offices to know about because they'll help coordinate your training and helping you get paid. So Alumni Hall has a lot of great resources for students as well. I do want to move on to the Hudson Science and Technology Center here. Dom, I'm sure, has lots of familiarity with Hudson Science and Tech as an environmental science major. I'm in our IT master's program here at Hood, so all of my physical classes will be in Hudson Science and Tech. And it's a wonderful building, if you couldn't see from the video, which I think does a great job of showing off some of its beautiful architecture and the wonderful spaces there. Notably, it's home to our nursing lab. So if you are interested in nursing, I would love to talk to you more about that process because it's slightly unique. There's some earlier deadlines you'll want to make sure you meet and things like that. So please, please, please reach out to us. And I'll do a quick job showing off our great facility. We have observation rooms right up on the third floor of nursing. The technology is brand new because the program's only in its 6th year. So we've had the ability to take some really incredible technology and current recent technology and bring that into the facility. And you can see some of that here. We have some great office spaces for conversation and things like that. But some of the coolest parts of the facility are these observation rooms. We also have these high-tech mannequins that can be diagnosed. They can have different issues, medical issues. They can give birth and lots of different things. So there's some really neat technology up there. And I strongly encourage, once we are able to let you inside the buildings, we would love to show off this facility in person because it's truly a spectacle. Also up on the third floor is our coastal studies program, which have some really high-tech computers for their global information systems, the GIS systems that need a little bit more processing power. There's also some, I'd love to show off our labs here. Dr. Stromberg is one of our professors of chemistry. So in our meeting here today, thanks for being here, Chris. So you can see inside some of these wonderful labs and some of the classrooms that Dr. Stromberg would be home to or call home. So yeah, so that's our Hudson Science and Technology Center. Lots of cool pictures, great. And then that will wrap up the academic portion of the tour. So if you have questions about that, definitely feel free to put them in chat. But I want to move on to the section of campus dedicated to residence life. So I will play a short video and then we'll talk about our residence halls. Yeah, so we'll get started on that. And definitely one I'll have some great questions for Molly and Dom for. So here we go.
All 5 of the residence halls at Hood College have a computer room, a full kitchen, vending machines, a laundry room, and common areas with lounge and study space.
Koblenz Memorial, also known as Memorial Hall, is for incoming transfer and first-year students.
Men and women are housed on separate floors. Approximately 130 students live in single, double, and quad rooms.
Smith Hall, located next door, is also for incoming transfer and first-year students. Welcome to the recently renovated Marriott Hall, where upper-class students socialize, reside, and study.
The building's 140 residents enjoy the ground floor game room.
Welcome to Schreiner Hall. It's the home of upper-class students. They live in single, double, and triple style rooms on 2 co-ed floors and 2 all-female floors. Welcome to Koblenz Hall, which doubles as the dining hall on the 1st floor and the residence hall from the 2nd to the 4th floor.
Koblenz is a mixed-sex residence hall with double and single rooms for 120 continuing upper-class students.
I'd like to welcome you to the Language House. The 3 language houses offer an immersive language experience for upper-class students studying German, French, and Spanish.
All right, excellent. So I wanted to mention one thing, and that is the first line of that video, which is really great, but has some outdated information. And that's because over here on our far right, this gray unattractive looking structure is actually a pretty attractive looking structure called, which is our new residence hall. The new residence hall is a slightly different style than the others. So I will talk about it, but I want to talk about it after I get into our other 5 residence halls, starting with Smith Hall over here. We did get a glimpse inside one of our double rooms in that video, but here are some more pictures of what the inside of those typical dorm rooms would look like. Most of the dorm rooms are doubles on campus. Every dorm room has air conditioning control in the room, so you and your roommate decide the temperature. And there are closet spaces and lots of places for storage. Every dorm has a common space for the whole dorm, as well as a kitchen, a computer lab, and laundry facilities. Laundry is included in your room and board, so you don't have to bring quarters and pay for laundry every time. It's all taken care of, which is very nice. And yeah, so this is just a little glimpse inside of one of what could be your first dorm room here at Hood College. And you'll notice in the center of campus our pergola. The pergola here has some wonderful traditions that it has sort of spawned, I guess, throughout the years. And I'd love for Molly and Dom to share talking about the two that I'm thinking of, and I'm sure they are too. So if you wouldn't mind jumping in and telling us a little bit about those.
I mean, I'll talk about one if DeMonte will talk about the other. I think the biggest one that is everybody knows on campus is our tradition about not splitting the poles in our pergola. So our pergola is this very pretty structure with all these wooden poles through it. And it's kind of a superstition that if you and a group of friends or your friends kind of split the poles and walk on the opposite sides of the poles, that you won't be friends anymore. People on campus take it very seriously. We've had whole entire orientation groups that we've thrown fits and been like, nope, whole group go back. We got to all walk the same way. So it is a very serious thing on campus. So that's my favorite tradition with the pergola. DeMonte?
I would say the other main big tradition is the lighting of the pergola. Around Christmas time, SGA hosts the lighting of the pergola, and it's one of the most immaculate things you'll ever see. And you usually have like the president of FGA would give a little speech. They'll have like cookies and treats and stuff like that out, and it's one of the most beautiful things you'll see. Definitely when it's snowing and stuff outside, and so that's one of our other big traditions that we host at the pergola.
Well, I am absolutely shocked that we were thinking of different things, but those are excellent, and I'm glad to be surprised. The other tradition that I had was thinking of was there's a great tradition where when you meet your significant other and you decide that they are the one and you are ready to lock it down, as it were, you could bring them to the pergola, have a kiss, and then you will definitely get married. So take that under advisement and be very careful about who you meet with under the pergola. So yeah, but thank you both so much for that and telling us a little bit more about that. I want to move on to Koblenz Hall and talk a little bit about our dining hall. Dining hall is excellent. The food is always awesome. Admission counselors, our whole staff will go there often, and often on Thursdays, which is Chicken Nugget Thursdays. We're pretty basic, so our needs are pretty easily met by some really good chicken nuggets, but they have some really wonderful food. They have healthy options from every dietary restriction. If you're vegan or gluten-free, or you have any kind of allergies, they do a wonderful job accommodating students. One of my favorite stories to tell is I had a student with 8 very sensitive allergies that could all end them in the hospital. So we were worried that they wouldn't be able to eat have a normal sort of dining hall experience, but we worked out a system where they would let the dining hall know they were on their way when they were headed there with their friends, and the dining hall would put together a meal that would be safe for them to eat and delicious. And while they were going through the actual food line with their friends, the dining hall would hand her this dish, and she could stay with her friends the whole time. She could eat at the table with their friends. There was no waiting for her food to come or interrupting her experience at all. And so they've done an excellent job of not only accommodating every need, but also making their food really excellent. This is our salad bar, which is always there and available. We have, this is our saute station. So you're able to customize your dishes at that spot. There's always pizza every day, which is dangerous. There's also an ice cream machine there. So there's a ton of food options, and it's always changing, and they're always keeping it fresh. So definitely one of the most favorite features on campus. And I wanted to talk about the residence hall too. The new residence hall is excellent, and it's more apartment style living. So students can share a sort of suite with 3 other students. So you'll have 2 doubles that share a living space, a kitchen, bathrooms, and all that good stuff. Instead of sharing those with your entire dorm or your whole floor, those amenities will be right in the room with you. So it's a little bit more, it gives you a little more independence, but still a great option on campus. And a lot of our students are taking advantage of that. This is the first year that the dorm has been open. And yeah, so definitely something our upper class students and our honors students are taking advantage of. So that will wrap up our residential side of campus, and I'll do a little tour of our great athletic side of campus here by jumping into this wonderful video.
Hood College competes in the Middle Atlantic Conference, which is part of the NCAA Division III. Known as the Blazers, our varsity and club teams use several venues on campus. The Ronald J. Volpe Athletic Center houses the BB&T Arena, as well as a gym complete with weightlifting and cardio equipment available for all students, faculty, and staff. The center also houses the athletic department and the Shimano Athletic Training Room, where Hood athletes receive treatment and rehabilitation.
Welcome to the Nicodemus Athletic Complex. It includes the Thomas Athletic Field, where many of the Blazers teams compete.
The softball field features an updated playing surface and seating accommodations for fans. The tennis complex features 6 new courts and a shaded spectator area. Right next door, the Huntsinger Aquatic Center houses an 8-lane, 25-yard heated pool where the swim teams compete. The pool is also available to Hood students, faculty, and staff during open swimming hours. Gambrill Gymnasium is used for dance, yoga, and some physical education classes. It also serves as a secondary practice facility for all sports, indoor and outdoor.
Excellent. Yeah, so athletics are a huge part of being a member of our community. About 35 to 40% of the incoming class every year are participating in the D3 athletics in one of those 22 programs. So there's lots of opportunity for students to compete. And I also forgot to mention that in Koblenz Hall here, we do have a game room that is no longer a game room, but actually an esports arena. So if you're interested in competitive esports, we do have a Division II team for esports, and definitely something to note. There are some excellent athletics at Hood. My favorite would be the times that the baseball team gets to play in the local AAA stadium. They'll do some of their games there every year, and it's always a blast to come out and support them. And that Frederick Keys Stadium is the stadium they play at, is just outside of downtown. You could walk there if you're in for a long walk, but easy to get to. And tons of events obviously on campus in our wonderful new Ronald Volpe Athletic Center and on our very recently returfed turf field. So some images inside. You can see our weight room here. And our first image was of the cardio space. This is the court we also saw in the video. So definitely some wonderful facilities that I strongly recommend students always check out if they're interested in some school spirit. So that will do it for the athletic side of campus. I want to show you just one last video that will give a quick overview of sort of the more of the administrative, but also our student life sort of facilities. And we'll talk a little bit about Whitaker Campus Center, which is sort of the student center on campus. So here we are. I will get that started right
at Whitaker Campus Center. In addition to being the student center, Whitaker includes a bookstore where students can buy school supplies along with Hood gear. This is also where you will find students studying, eating at the Blazer, relaxing and playing games including ping pong and pool.
Welcome to the Joseph Henry Apple Resource Center. Here you will find the Registrar's Office, the Financial Aid Office, the Graduate School Admission Office, and a 24-hour computer lab. Your Hood College journey begins at the Admission House. Here you will interview, meet campus tour guides, and apply to become a Hood student. Our dedicated staff works year-round to help you with anything you may need in the process.
Alumni Hall, the main administrative building on campus, houses the offices of the President, Provost, Dean of Students, Treasurer, Accounting, and Marketing.
Here in Alumni House, the Alumni Relations staff keeps in touch with Hood College graduates, raises money for the college, and organizes events such as homecoming and reunion weekend each year. The dining hall on the first floor of Koblenz provides a daily breakfast, lunch, and dinner to all of the Hood community. Featuring a variety of choices from chicken nuggets to stir fry, there is always something good to eat. The Georgian-style Kaufman Chapel seats 750 guests. Hood holds non-denominational services here every Wednesday. With a capacity of nearly 2,000 people, the Hodson Outdoor Theater holds campus-wide events, including the opening convocation each August. The Andrew G. Truxell Pergola is the center point of the residential quad. The pergola is covered in wisteria and has inspired several Hood traditions. The residential quad holds commencement each year, along with campus picnics and festivals. Students can be found here all year round. Here at Carson Cottage is where a lot of Hood's music majors spend their time. Hood's student-run newspaper, The Blue and the Gray, operates inside, along with Hood's student-run literary magazine, Wisteria. Constructed in 1900, Hood College originally purchased the property for use as residence for the vice president. As of 2015, East Cottage now serves as the home for the current president.
Excellent. Awesome. So that'll do it for the videos, but I want to retreat back over to our Whitaker Campus Center and show off this wonderful space. It's a great congregation spot for students. There's a ton of different places to meet and gather and eat. Our second of our two dining options, the Blazer, is over here. So the Blazer is more of a cafe and grill style. Off on the right, you can see our cafe has breakfast food options and coffee and tea and all that good stuff. And straight ahead, there's more burgers and fries and all that good stuff, so salads and sandwiches. So those are some of the places you could see around here. We have more seating, and this is a little bit of a better view. We've talked a lot about the offices in the Student Life Suite. Our Office of Diversity and Inclusion is here up on the second floor. Our Campus Safety Office, our Office for Orientation, Residence Life. So lots of different really instrumental offices for our students to be able to connect with right in the center of campus. Also back in, you can see just under that 2010 banner there, that's where our switchboard is. Switchboard is open 24/7 to help you find anything you would need on campus. If you're ever locked out of your dorm, they're always there and we'll always be able to help you. Campus safety being here, I always like to mention that Frederick and Hood are one of the safest places you'll ever find. It's really an incredible place. I have never felt unsafe on campus or off, and there's really our campus safety, though they may not have too many emergencies to respond to, they've always been incredible about being community oriented and connected to the community, and not just here to protect, but certainly here to make sure students are feeling safe and comfortable on campus. Our two chiefs, Chief Willie and Chief Maynard, are really excellent men, and they do a great job. So I would love to actually invite Molly or Dom to just talk a little bit about those banners and around the second floor there, if you wouldn't mind. Unless we lost them.
I'm here.
Awesome, thank you.
Somebody might have to help me out a little bit, but these banners are for each of the graduation classes so far, and they pick normally 4 points of interest. So I know one of the banners have like the iPads when the iPad program started out, or when there was a big snowstorm, or when President Volpe left and they welcomed President Chapdelaine in. And so there's like special moments throughout the year that happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. So the graduating class will make a banner every year. So there's always a banner for each year. Our most recently graduated class has not yet had a chance to make their banner, although I'm sure it will have lots of very interesting things on it, given the year that we've all had. But yeah, we're very excited to see what that holds, and we always hang them, the last 10 years of banners, in this area of the Whitaker Campus Center, just as a representation of what that decade has looked like to our students, and maybe prompting the thoughts about what the next 10 years might look like for students. So it's a really cool space and a beautiful place to just hang out and connect with people and maybe meet a new friend. So that is our Whitaker Campus Center. It also is home to our bookstore. So when you're ready to get your books and your Hood College swag, your Hood hoodie and all that fun stuff, that's a good place to know about for that. I would love to open it up for questions. If there's any questions we can talk more about. I want to highlight really quickly, we talked quite a little bit about the Career Center. Thank you, Lisa. And study abroad. The Henry Apple building here is home to those two wonderful offices, as well as our financial aid office, which is very connected to the admission office. So if you have any questions about financial aid, we would love to have you reach out to your admission counselor. I often tell families that when you are working through financial aid, and if you get a financial aid package from us, anytime you feel like you have questions about that financial aid package, or maybe it's not enough, or maybe it's perfect, we'd love to hear about it. So definitely reach out to your to your admission counselor, and we can discuss all different kinds of wonderful financial aid options. And we can always connect you directly with a financial aid counselor as well. And they can be really helpful in that too. So that sort of wraps up campus. Are there questions or any activities that students were hoping to participate in who are here today that maybe they didn't see an opportunity for, they'd like us to talk a little bit more about? I'd love to hear from you guys about that. And just encourage you to reach out to us again. But I'll stop sharing my screen here. And yeah, let's see. Political activism or social justice. Did we talk about that one already? It looks like, Jack, did we just get that question? Perfect. All right, perfect. A couple good questions here. Political activism and social justice activism on campus. I think that that's probably something that our wonderful students would be more able to talk about. I think that Hood does do a wonderful job promoting any kind of activism. And so I think that somebody who can give them a little more detail about the more recent activism that's been happening on campus, if you want to chime in.
So I definitely think, of course, we're in a crazy time right now, and there has been a lot of things that have been thrown up in the air and questioned. But I really believe that Hood has a great response to everything, and really, Hood is really trying its hardest to empower its students. Our president, Chaplain, she's on top of everything. She has a really good outreach with the students and making sure we're informed of exactly what's happening and what our senior team is doing to help the situation on campus, but also ways that we can reach out and help, whether that being speaking up when you say something or reporting something that's happened to you. But I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for us on campus to take part in that activism and really show that we are such a tight-knit Hood community, because we like to say Hood is home, and you wouldn't want to be questioned on your home. So we really try really hard to kind of empower all of our students to believing that they can stand up for what they believe in, and that's going to be fine.
Excellent. Thank you, Molly. I also see a great question here about living on campus that our wonderful Mr. Bill Brown has answered. So that's a great question. And yes, we do typically ask students to live on campus if they're outside that 30-mile radius. And that's why we've really done an excellent job expanding the different options that there are on campus with the new residence hall and making sure that every residence facility is a wonderful place to live. From personal experience, I did not do my undergraduate at Hood, to my dismay, but I think that it is really such a great experience to live on campus for at least your first year. And if I could would have lived on campus for as many years as I I could have. But that wasn't an option where I had attended. So really, the truth is, I wish I could go back in time and do it all over again at Hood. But there are so many great opportunities when you're living on campus that you might not always get when you're living off campus, or it might be maybe a little bit more difficult to engage in certain activities and just not being quite right there. And I wouldn't say that those barriers are tall when you're not living on campus, but to be able to walk right out of your dorm room and be 3 minutes from your class or 2 minutes from the dining hall is a pretty excellent thing, and can really make the whole experience, I think, feel a lot more like you're getting that full college experience, I suppose. So yeah, other questions? Or if anybody else has, any of our wonderful team members have things they'd like to contribute, we'd love to hear from you.
I think I just want to say thank you to everyone, all the Hood folks for participating, all you students for joining us. A special thank you to our ASL interpreters, and we appreciate them very much for them to be here. I do want to highlight for you, there are a lot of virtual visit opportunities to learn more about Hood. They're all under our visit and events page on our website. So I encourage you to go to see that. That's under the admissions tab. And we have lots of opportunities there. We also list within there a lot of recorded virtual visits that have already occurred. So you can go through that, you can sort of peruse those opportunities and listen to those visit opportunities that you may have missed, and you can check those out, and we encourage you to do that. We also encourage you, next week, we have a number of FAFSA financial aid visits that are set up to help you understand the financial aid process, help you understand the kinds of funds that are available to you, and how to apply for them. So very, very good events for you next week. Also, and I understand next week is National Chemistry Week. That's really good news. It's also National Transfer Student Week, and Hood is very transfer student friendly. So please stop by our website and see what kind of virtual opportunities are there for virtual or for transfer students, as well as all the other ones as well. I want to thank you all for coming. There will be, it's in the chat, and also will be emailed to you, a survey that we would like you to complete. Helps us improve our experience, the experience of students that want to come and experience these virtual events. Please take a moment to fill out that survey. You can do it through the link in the chat, and if you don't, we'll hit you again with an email on Monday and get you a chance to fill that out and give us some feedback. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you spending a couple of minutes on a beautiful Saturday. I hope you get a chance to go out and enjoy it a bit. And thank you very much for being a part of this. We hope to see you on campus when you get that opportunity. We hope real soon. Thanks very much. Okay.
Thanks,
you
guys.
all. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. It's good to see everybody.
It was very good.
It made this semester feel a little more normal having
Yeah,
to do this.
it really did. And I just want to, I can't let it go without saying that Molly and Dom, I really appreciate that you took the time to coordinate your hair and his t-shirt.
What we do.
Watching it the whole time.
As original orientation partners, and I trained DeMonte for this job
what else could we do?
I want to say that I'm super proud of my two babies because I've trained both of you. So,
Yeah.
proud.
I love
They are fierce in so many ways, India.
I'm so proud.
Can't thank you guys enough for helping out. Yeah, I mean, just with the tour alone, but everything else you guys did today, it was excellent. Thank you guys.
And the top notch. Yeah, thank you all so very much. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
You too.
My mom just arrived so I'm gonna run away, but thank you guys.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Thanks again, Stephen. You're the best. Love you. Bye.